good time. Ooh, time to get our craft on. Ooh, time to have fun. Ooh, time to feel good.
Hey, gifted crafters, welcome back to another Saturday CrafterNoon. I see everyone chiming in the chat from all over the place. I see we've got the West Coast in here. Awesome. Maryland, California, San Antonio, Minnesota. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All righty. Awesome. Okay. Let's see. You don't seem to have sound. Anyone else? Uh-oh. Are we having an issue with sound? Let's see. No, I think we're good with sound. Let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me okay. You can hear fine, Robin. Donna, check your settings. It's probably your settings. Alrighty. You have sound. Okay, I think we're good. Awesome. Okay, well, welcome everyone. Welcome back to another Saturday CrafterNoon. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Nancy with GiftsHQ, and I host these weekly live sessions to talk about everything crafty. We're also on the air Monday through Friday, and we do a morning show. So if you're able to catch that, we usually are live from 8 to 9 a.m., and that's Eastern Standard Time. So you can get a little crafting inspiration during the week, and then we can do something fun on Saturdays as well. So thank you all for tuning in and being here today. I am just, happy to be here. It's Saturday. It's a long weekend. I think everyone is just, going through the weekend and having a great time and, just enjoying family and friends. I think this is kind of be a little relaxation weekend for me. So let me just jump into the chat and say hello. I see Barbara, Nance. I see Becky. Cat's my favorite. Love that. Crafting with Robin. Krissa, hello. Debbie, Donna, Jennifer, Jenny, Melissa. 1 minute tips. Robin's quilt basket. Sassy. Hello. Okay. So I think we're all settled in. I hope we've got everyone saying they can hear me okay. I think. Yeah, everyone seems to hear me okay. Awesome. Oh, you had you had your earphones plugged into your laptop. Okay, you're all good, Donna. Awesome. Hey, Marge, thanks for joining. Okay. So, again, it's just, it's a long weekend this weekend, and I hope everyone's able to take a little time off and spend it with their families, because we have lots of nice things, to do. If you're having some nice weather, great for you. If you're not so much, you can use that to kind of be in your craft room. I'm tuning in from sunny South Florida. So down here, it's kind of on and off. We're kind of getting some storms coming in, and then it's really hot out. So we just never know what the weather's going to be like now. So I'm just going to kind of go with it. I'm hoping to spend some time in my craft room because I do have a few projects that I'd like to finish up, and I got some planning to do for the upcoming week. So, okay. Let's see. Couple quick announcements that I wanted to make. So I mentioned last week they were having a documentary on Netflix that was called The Quilters. I don't know if anybody caught that or not. It's really short. I think it was about 30 minutes or so. It's just a documentary. If you haven't caught that, you may want to catch that. And they did show a number of quilts, and I was wondering if anybody was able to see it. What did you guys think of those quilts? I thought that some of them were pretty amazing. It was an interesting documentary. And I just thought it was pretty cool that, these guys are in there and they're kind of learning how to quilt, and they're doing it for some kids that, really will enjoy those quilts. So, yeah, the Quilters was so uplifting. It was. I thought it was too, Jennifer. Yeah, it's an interesting documentary, and they made some pretty nice quilts. If you caught that, you got to see a lot of the quilts that they were displaying. They were pretty amazing. Not bad, huh? What you can do with a little practice, right? Yeah, I thought it was a good documentary also. So if you haven't caught it, it is out on Netflix, and it's only 30 minutes. So pretty neat on what they've seen. You thought it was interesting. You were impressed with their talent too, Robin. Yeah, I was too. What a great way to, learn something. Doesn't matter where you are or what stage you're in your life. You can always learn something new, and, you just might be good at it. So, so awesome. Yeah, you'll watch, Wanda. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Okay. So that's something that, we mentioned it last week that it was coming out. It is out now. It is on Netflix. So if you haven't seen it, try to kind of grab a glimpse of that. Now, during the week, we do the daily live shows, and we've been kind of focused on paper piecing. And I just wanted to kind of show you guys a little bit of what we've been up to and what we've been able to do. So these are some of the blocks that we were able to kind of pull out. Let me kind of move this over to the side so you guys can see this better. Here. So these are some of the blocks that we were able to do with paper piecing. Now remember, this is a free pattern that you can do, and it's a lot of fun, you know, and we kind of went through this step by step. We did these, which are called the courthouse steps blocks, and it's very scrappy. I'm just using some scrap fabric. And now we have started to do the star in the middle here. And this is going to be a quilt that is, they've got two sizes available. Excuse me. You can make the table topper size, which is about a 4-inch block, or you can make the lap size quilt, which is the 6-inch blocks. And those are the ones that I'm making here, and they are done using paper piecing. So you've got the courthouse steps that we're doing, and these are the papers that are for the courthouse steps, and then you have the woven star, and you've got the papers for that as well. We've completed everything from start to finish for the courthouse steps. Now it's just a matter of continuing to make that block, and so I'm going to kind of continue to try to do that this weekend, because I've got to make about 40 of these. And then you're going to have the woven star, and the woven star, you're going to make about 41 of these, and that's going to give you the size of a quilt. So I think that's a nice lap size quilt. And once I've done that, then we're going to start putting the blocks together. I'll probably do a little border and some binding in the background fabric, and then, you know, it will be complete. So this is, if you haven't seen any of the videos from during the week, that's what we've been working on. And so I've been doing these step by step so everyone can kind of follow along and hopefully do it with me. So it's a lot of fun. We've been having a great time. And I am using, for my scrappy fabric, I am using Peace and Plenty, which is Riley Blake design, and this is by Lori Holt, Bee in My Bonnet. So really, really fun on this. The Sew Emma papers from Fat Quarters are great to work with. Yes, in making these blocks, of course, definitely. You can do that, and you can, you know, it's, for me, this is kind of like a refresher for me on paper piecing, because I am tackling a legit kit after this. And legit kits, if you're not familiar with them, they're really large quilts that you can make. It's paper piecing as well, but some of them, there are beginner friendly ones, and some of them are a little bit more complex. Mine is kind of labeled as a beginner, but it has tons and tons of teeny tiny pieces that get pieced together. And that is going to, you know, kind of be a little difficult, because it's going to have some bulk in some areas where they start to do, when you start doing the joins. So I wanted to kind of take a step back, do a little bit of a refresher, and then kind of come back. Quilt Wrench says, which legit kit? I'm doing the Hooters. So the Hooter is the owl. And if you notice if you ever seen a picture of it, I don't have it with me here. I actually have it in another room. But if you look at the Hooter, the eye area, like there's tons of joins coming in, because there's so much detail there, that there's so many pieces that need to be brought together there, that it's kind of a little scary to me on how that's going to get done. And so I wanted to kind of give myself a refresher and kind of just remember the whole paper piecing thing before I just dive into that project. So that's what I'm doing. And then so I'm kind of just practicing with this quilt. Want to go ahead and finish that one off, and then I'll dive into the legit kit and do the hooter. So lots and lots of fun. I'm really excited about that one. It should come out really, really cute. Okay, so what are we doing today? Well, today I kind of wanted to prep myself because my sister has retired and she's going to be coming to South Florida. And she did mention that she may bring her dog with her. And so, you know, I wanted to kind of do a little something just for to get settled, but I wanted to kind of show you guys something that you can do with your scan and cut. So let's look at that for a minute. So I'm going to be using, first of all, my fabric mat, which you can see is not the cleanest that it can be. I took the little plastic piece off. It's not as sticky as it used to be. Has a lot of wear and tear. It's got some mileage on this mat, and there's ways that you can clean it and things like that, and I've kind of talked about that as well. But haven't had too much time lately, but it's going to be working for us today, and I'll use a couple things to kind of reinforce it as well. So that's what I'm going to be using, and we're going to be cutting out some fabric, and I found a couple things here. So I found this little doggy fabric that I thought was really cute. It is 100% cotton. So I'm going to take a little piece of this, and I thought, you know, let's kind of do something just fun. Like, since she's coming to South Florida and she usually will walk the dog, and it's kind of been raining a lot, I'm like, we'll put this on like a little towel so she can use it to like wipe down his paws, you know, when he's done doing this little walk and things like that. So I'm like, I just wanted to kind of play around with an option in the scan and cut and kind of show you that. And then I just wanted to kind of just make something for that. So I'm going to go ahead, and I think I have about a yard of this. And I don't really have any plans to do anything major with this. So I am just going to grab a corner here. And I'm going to grab my scissors, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut a generous amount of fabric. And I know I won't need all of this, but we just don't want to have to like measure or anything like that. So I'm just going to grab a piece, just cut it off. There we go. Okay. So I got a piece of this fabric here, and I'm going to scoot over here and grab my little ironing board and just kind of give it a quick little press because it does have some creases on here. So I just want to press that out. I like to start with a nice flat piece of fabric. No wrinkles. Just makes it a little bit easier. You can totally not press it if you wanted to, but I want to go ahead and do that anyway. Okay. Now, one thing that I want to do as well is I'm going to attach this fabric onto something. Now, there's all kinds of different things that you can do with this. You can take any kind of scrap piece of fabric. I actually have like a little tub here that's full of tons of scrap fabrics that I have, and I just kind of throw it into the container. So I could have easily grabbed one of these, but I wanted to do something that had the little doggy on it, doggy paws. So I just grabbed this one, and then I'm going to use, this is Heat and Bond Ultra, and this is the no-sew. So it's usually in this red color here, not to be confused with Heat and Bond Light. Heat and Bond Light, I know we use that a lot, and that is the sewable version. This is no sew, so it specifically says it right on the top, so you guys could see it. It is no sew. And I'm just gonna grab this, and let me tell you guys, I've had this for a very long time. It does last a while. Unless you do like tons and tons and tons. of things that you want to bond. I've had this for quite a while and it's lasted a long time. Now, there's some times that I'll use Heat and Bond Light, and the Heat and Bond, usually they will print on here, right on the paper, what it actually is, and it just says Heat and Bond Ultra Hold. But sometimes you won't get that, so you got to be careful if you leave scraps out, that you know which one is which. So be careful with that, because you could kind of easily think that this is the sew version of it and it's Heat and Bond Light when it's actually Heat and Bond Ultra, and it's really kind of hard to tell because they look almost exactly the same. So I'm going to go ahead and cut some of that. I'm using my fabric on top as a little template, but you do want to cut this a little bit shorter than your actual fabric because you want it to go underneath. So I'm going to kind of go in here and I'm going to do it a little bit less. Hopefully that's enough. If not, I can adjust for it. And that is the roll. Okay, let me just stick this in here because I do not want to confuse this with my other roll of Heat and Bond Light. So, need to make sure that we put away our toys, right? Okay, so I do have that, and then I want to do, the first thing I want to do is I want to apply this onto the fabric. So before I do that, let me just go on top and make sure that this is kind of all covered. I want to make sure I don't get any of that gunk on my iron. And I know I have a piece of selvage here. Really doesn't matter. I'm not going to use it. So I'm just going to kind of leave it. So not too bad. Do have a little piece here that I'm just going to kind of smudge off. There we go. Okay. And notice I use my fabric scissors for my fabric, and I have a separate pair of scissors for vinyl and other things. So do not use your fabric scissors for that stuff. Now I am applying the Heat and Bond with the glue side up, so that is the bumpy side of the Heat and Bond, and you want to apply that to the back of your fabric. So you do see that, you can see here the little bumpy side, and it's kind of scratchy, and then you have the back side of your fabric, and that's what you want to adhere together. So go ahead and hit it with a dry iron. We want to just get that nice and pressed. And if you want, you can kind of flip it over and iron it from the back as well, just to make sure that you get it. You just kind of go all around here. There we go. Okay, so we've got our Heat and Bond onto our fabric, and you can kind of test on the sides and just try to lift it, and you'll see it's pretty well sealed together. Okay, so now that we have this nice and ready to go, I'm going to set this over to the side. I'm going to leave that on for a bit, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, take off my plastic protective sheet, set that to the side, and you can tell it doesn't have too much of a stick on this mat, so not too worried about that. But what I do recommend, and this is where some people do things a little bit differently. This is kind of what works for me. So for any Heat and Bond applications that I'm doing, I prefer to take the paper off before I cut it. You can leave it on. I prefer to take it off, especially if you are doing intricate cuts, because sometimes the paper will lift off while the machine is cutting, and then it kind of gets jammed in there and it gets jammed into your machine. So I prefer to take it off. Did you make or purchase your little ironing board? I actually purchased this little ironing board. This was in Sarasota. It's a little quilt shop called Sarasota Sews, and her name is Dawn, and she actually sells these in her shop. There's a little elderly couple that sells it to her, and they make these by hand, and then she sells it on her shop for them. Really cute story on that. But it's called Sarasota Sews, and I believe they have a website. I have a link in the chat. I visited their store, I don't know, a year or so ago, and I toured her store, and we had a great time. So if you check out on my videos, you'll see some of the other things that she has. We had a nice little interview with her. She was an amazing person. She's so much fun, and really nice stories with her. So you may want to check her out there. Just look at Sarasota Sews when you're searching under our videos there. Okay, so I have this here in place, and I'm going to do fabric side down. This is my fabric mat. So I am going to kind of set that down here, and I'm going to flatten it here. And I do have my brayer that should help bring this and pull it down. But knowing that this mat is really not really kind of sticky as it should be, and then I kind of need to clean it, what I am going to do is I'm going to take some painter's tape. And with the painter's tape, it's going to help me hold it down. I would suggest for you to do this, especially if you are doing some intricate cuts, because you do not want this thing lifting while it is cutting. It could possibly ruin your project, and then you'd have to kind of start all over again. Okay, so let's put these down here. I'm going to put one, and I just kind of put it on the edge here where I know I'm not going to cut. And you don't have to do them as big, or just kind of do it in the areas where you think it may lift. I just like to kind of cover all four sides, especially this side here. It seems to be lifting a lot. So I'm going to just stick that here, and then I'll put one on the top. And now this is not going to go anywhere. It should stay nice and flat, and it can go ahead and do the cut. So let's move some of this stuff here. Now I have a couple other things that I'm going to show you in just a bit, but I'm going to set them over here to the side. And let me just open up my scan and cut. You can see I've been quite busy and have quite a few number of scraps here. Okay, let's wake up our scan and cut. Now, we put a little camera on our scan and cut here on the side because I wanted to kind of make sure that you guys are able to see everything that we're doing. So let's see. Hopefully this will work for you. So we've got the scan and cut. We've just turned it on, and I'm going to just take you through step by step on something really simple that you can do. So I'm going to go ahead and hit pattern, and you can basically do this project with any type of shape or font that you'd like. And I'll show you a couple of examples of some that I've already done. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pick a shape. And I think we're going to, let's do a little heart. So I'm going to look for a heart. Here's one I think will work. Yep, that looks good. And I'm going to go ahead and set that. And I'm going to move this heart kind of to the middle of my screen, because that's kind of where I have my fabric on here. And I want to edit that. Do object edit, and we're going to resize this. Let's see. I think we can do about 4 inches just to keep it nice and even. I'll just do okay on that. And we'll do okay and okay again. And let's see. First thing I want to do is scan my mat. And this is one thing that really makes the scan and cut worth it, is the fact that you can scan your mat. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. First, I'm going to put my mat inside, and I need to feed my mat. So I'm going to hit my little button here on the side. That's going to bring my mat in. And it's going to load. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit the start button. And it's going to bring my mat in and basically take a picture of what I have on my mat. And honestly, this is really the nicest feature of the scan and cut. The fact that you're able to see what is on your mat, and then you're able to adjust whatever design you have to make sure that it's going to fit. And so on here, you can barely even see it. I can kind of move it over this way. You see where we have our little heart. And I want to make sure that it's going to fall in my fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that and just move it towards the center there. Yeah, that's good. And I can kind of move it to the edge. You can really make the most of your fabrics. If I don't want to use up too much fabric, I can literally bring this down to the corner and fit any other pieces that I want. It just gives you that ability to really save your fabric in that sense. So I really like that. So I'm going to go ahead and say, okay. And then it's going to ask me, well, what do you want to do with this heart? Well, I'm going to hit select here, and I want you to cut it. Now, before we can do that, I'm going to show you, and I'll kind of open this up here on the side because I didn't have it out. There's 2 different cutters that I have. One is a rotary cutter that is specifically for fabric, and this is the one that I like to use for fabric. You can use some other ones that will cut the fabric just as well, but this is the one kind of that I like to use. The rotary cutter does take a little bit longer than your other cutters, but I like the way it cuts the fabric better than the other ones. The other cutters that the Scan and Cut has will basically cut the fabric, but it pulls on the fabric in order to make the cut. And this one is the rotary cutter I really like because it resembles a rotary blade. And so it has kind of similar to a rotary cutter. It has that little blade that turns and moves, and it's able to get those really intricate cuts and doesn't really pull or tug onto the fabric. But it does take a little bit longer to actually cut it because it is thinking as it's doing the cut, you know, what is the best way to cut this specific pattern that you have outlined on your machine. So if you can be a little bit patient of it, I really don't see too much of a difference, but I prefer using the rotary cutter. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and hit start. And so basically it's just going to pull the mat in, and the Scan and Cut is going to test on the mat, and then it's going to test again on the fabric to see what the dimension is on that. And then it's just going to go ahead and start cutting it. So once it does that, it'll let us know that it finished. So there it goes. And that's it. It says it finished cutting. So I'm just hitting OK on that. And then I'm going to go ahead and unload my mat. And let me just grab the little spatula that comes with it, just because now that I've got everything nice and flat, it makes it a little bit easier for me to lift things up to get it out of here. Alrighty. And there you go. You can see the little heart already. And you've got all these little scraps. And I'll kind of cut up the scraps and kind of save them for another project. And then I'm going to come on here right underneath and pull that up. And isn't she so cute? Cute little heart Looks really good, nice and sharp. I think it does a fantastic job in terms of cutting. But now I'm going to take this and do something a little bit further, because we don't want to just cut fabric on it. There's other things that you can do. Now the Scan and Cut has a feature called overlay, and so we want to kind of show you what you can do with that. So what I have here, let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and grab let's see, this one's, I've got some scraps on here. I've got a blue little glitter HTV here. And I think I want to do a little outline for this and just kind of have that outline the heart. And so this is how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to take this piece of vinyl and I'm going to go ahead and just use the same fabric mat. It really doesn't matter. Krista had to walk away. Did Nancy put the fabric side on the mat? Yes, I did. I did fabric side down because I'm using my mat. The heat and bond side is facing up and I do remove the paper. Some people, again, they leave it on. I like to take it off, because I found when it does those intricate cuts, sometimes the paper gets jammed in the machine and it kind of ruins your project and you have to start all over again. So I prefer to just not do it with the paper. The heat and bond is here already applied, and then I did fabric side down. But I did reinforce it with some painter's tape to kind of hold it down too. So now, using the same fabric mat, now normally you would just pick your regular mat, but I already have it out, so I'm going to just go ahead and do it on this one. And so I'm going to go ahead and take my brayer. The carrier sheet is down. And I'm going to stick this on here. Now, what I'm also thinking of doing here, where did I put it? Here it is. I'm going to grab my painter's tape. And you can do this with any type. Think of all the applique projects that you do. You can do this with applique. You can do this basically on any type of project, right? You're basically taping a shape, or you can take a font and you can do this. So what I have here now is I just kind of reinforced it with some painter's tape, and I've got my vinyl facing down and the carrier sheet is underneath, right? So we're going to kind of put this on. You can put it on a shirt, and there's tons of things, and I'll show you that in just a second. So I'm going to go back to my Scan and Cut, and I'm going to load this mat. Okay. And I'm going to show you where the options are here. And let's kind of go back. What I want to do is I want to edit it. And I'm going to hit Object, Edit. Oops, sorry. And I'm going to hit an option with this icon right here. This is an overlay. And what this is going to do is going to offset your actual design. And so right now I'm going to go ahead and change the distance, and I want you to focus on the heart itself. You're going to start to see something appear. And you can see here, let me just bring it, I'm going to actually bring it to, that's too much. Let's do 20. So if you noticed here, your heart now looks like there's two hearts in there. So it just made an overlay of that object. And so it kind of will highlight it for you. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to say, okay. And then now if I were doing an image, or let's say I was doing fonts, maybe somebody's name or something like that, I would have to mirror my image. So you always want to mirror your image because you're putting it down onto, let's say, a shirt or something like that. So don't forget to mirror the image. But since this is a heart, there's really nothing to mirror. So I could mirror it, but it's really not going to matter because it's not going to change, right? But if this was fonts, you would totally need to mirror it, okay? So that's one thing you would need to do. And so now I'll just hit OK, and OK again, and OK again. And then it's going to ask me, well, what do you want to do? Well, I want to cut it. And then one thing that I also want to do, because I'm using vinyl, is I'm going to go ahead and hit the little wrench. And I'm going to scroll down. And you're going to make sure that your half cut is on. And half cut means it's basically telling the scan and cut, hey, I have some vinyl here and there's a carrier sheet on the bottom. You don't need to cut the carrier sheet. I'm just interested in you cutting the vinyl. And so it does a half cut. And so it won't cut completely all the way down, which is exactly what you want, because then you can use that carrier sheet to kind of help you press it on to the shirt or whatever it is that you're making, right? So that's what you want to select. So once you have your half cut on, go ahead and hit OK. And then I'm going to kind of go back here, because I want to scan it again, and I want to make sure that my vinyl is in the right place. So I'm going to go ahead and hit start. Let that machine drag that in, kind of take the little picture for me. I just want to make sure that my heart is going to come in the best place where my vinyl is. And I like to save my vinyl. So if I can kind of scooch it to a side somewhere so that I can save myself some vinyl, I'm going to do that. So on here, you'll see here, there's our heart. It's right square in the middle. And I'm going to kind of adjust it over to the end here. And look what happened. Oh no, now we've got two different hearts here. And we don't want that. So we're just going to say okay. And we're going to go back. Oh, sorry. Okay. Cut. And I'm going to say, nope, go back. I don't want to save. Hold on a second. Back again. Actually, let me show you this. Give me a second. Okay, okay. And I'm going to go back to home, and I'm going to take it out. Let's come back. Let's do this again. Shape. One more. There it is. Here's the heart. And we want to set it. And let's see. Let's edit that. Object edit. I'm going to resize that. Again, I wanted it to be 4 inches. There we go. We have the overlay. And we want the overlay to be -20. And okay. So we see that here. And then I want to do okay here. Let's see. Oop, did I tilt that a little bit? Okay. Select everything. And we can just resize that here. We want to focus on just that. That looks good. That would be fine. Okay. And one more thing I would like to do is group it. Now that I've grouped it, I can move this anywhere I want, and it has both the heart and the overlay is what it's moving together. Where before, when I touched it, we had 2 different hearts. Now we have 1 because I've grouped it together. Okay, so that's what you want here. And I kind of just scooched it over to the side because I want to save all this vinyl. I can use that for another project. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And I think we're good here. OK again. And OK again. And what do we want to do? We want to cut it. And then I'll go ahead and hit start. And now it's going to scooch it back in. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pause it. One thing I forgot to do, I forgot to change my cutter. So I'm going to go ahead and lift this up. I don't want the rotary blade to cut my vinyl. I needed to kind of switch this up. So switch it and then pull it back down. And there we go. Now I can just say start again. And it'll just kind of pick up where it left off. So we're good. And it's going to again remeasure. Because you probably could, but I really don't want to use my rotary blade and make it go dull to cut the vinyl. I'd rather use the right blade for it. So I went ahead and I changed the blade and it's measuring and now it's kind of doing the cuts. And so it's going to do 2 cuts. It's going to cut the heart and then it's going to cut the overlay for it. And that's how quick it does it. So it's already done. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And I'm going to take the mat off. And so let's see what we got here. Ooh, I can already see it. Let me put it a little closer so you guys can see that. Let's see if you guys can see that here. I hope you can see the cuts. Just slightly. But let's go ahead and get this off so you guys can really take a look. I'm going to scooch underneath here. And you can see here, I'm pulling it. And it cut all the way. I think I forgot to hit the half cut again, but that's okay. There we are. Let's take this off. See, now I can totally use this for a different project. Tons of space here. Yeah, I can make something else with this. Really easy. Okay, I'm going to go underneath here. I'm going to pull up my heart. There we go. Okay, so when I went back, I forgot to hit the half cut on here. So it didn't do a half cut, which is totally fine. But you can see here, we've got 2 different cuts. You've got the cut, that's the outlay, and then you have another heart, right? But because we did the outlay, you'll see that the heart has like a little square over here instead of a cut like a normal heart, right? This one's a little bit more defined. It's not squared off on the top. Because this is an overlay, it will square this off. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to take the overlay and we're going to put it on top of our heart. And that's how we're going to put it down onto our blank. And I like it because it just gives it that little bit of an extra little accent, which looks pretty cool. And you can do that with all kinds of things, with names on the font letters and things like that. Really, really cute. And so now let's apply this to one of our blanks here. So I said there's different ones that you can use. So I'll show you a couple that I have here that I've done. So here's a heart that was already done on a little towel here. And you can see the outlay around it. Makes it have a little bit of a sparkle. And then you can also do fonts, right? So here's letter H with a little bit of a sparkle. And you can totally do this with different fabrics and different vinyls. You've got things that, you know, with different colored vinyl, you have the blue one, or you can do this nice silvery, they have the gold. They have all different types of sparkly vinyls that you can use that'll help accent the pieces. But you know, the best part about this too is once you have that outlay piece, that little extra piece that you got, you can totally use this for another project and just kind of use the heart. So it's kind of like you got 2 things at once. It's just kind of cool, huh? Yeah, the kids would love that, sure. And so if you don't like this little square thing, one thing that I did was I just kind of folded it in half. And then I just took some scissors and I clipped this and just made it work, right? So here we go. There you go. Now you got rid of the square and you have a regular heart with the little point inside. You just got to nip that little piece off. Comes right off with some scissors. So really cute. Nice way to put that away. Now, what can you do and where can you put this? Well, I've got some hand towels on here. You can do them on hand towels. You can put them on shirts, onesies, all kinds of things. Like I've got some blanks here. Maybe you have a bib. You can get a bunch of blank bibs and you can totally make the cutest little things with the baby's name on it. Or you can just use the outlay itself. And then maybe, you know, with your fabric, you can do all kinds of things, right? So there's so many different things that you can do that would really make it look nice. And so we can do that. We can put it on a onesie. If you have a little onesie that you want, you can put that. Maybe you have a little onesie with a little baby that has a dog in the house. So, you know, they're little dog lovers. You know, there's so many things you can make with it. So I want to go ahead and apply this to something, but since we're going to do this for my sister's dog, his name is Mellow, I'm going to try to put this on a little towel right here. And I'm just going to use this so she can use it to wipe his paws as he comes into the house. And so we're going to kind of do it just like that. So let's come over to my iron here. Gonna bring this over here. Alrighty. Gosh, a little bit of a mess here is what this thing. It has a lot of different supplies, so a lot of little things. Okay, and then I'm just gonna grab my towel. I'm gonna fold this in half to find my center. And I'm gonna go ahead and just give that a quick little press. And I'm going to open that up. You can see the little crease right there. So that'll be my little guide. And then you just kind of judge where you want to put the heart. I'm just going to put them somewhere here. Since it has this little design here on the bottom, I'm just going to kind of line it up here. And I think that will work. Now, I'm going to do this separately. I'm not going to try to do the two things at once. This already has the heat and bond on it. So when I go ahead and put this on my iron, it's really going to stick onto this. So if you just wanted to cut fabric alone, you could do that and just call it a day just at this. But I wanted it to have just a little bit of a sparkle. So that's why I did the overlay with the vinyl. And so you can see that it's already on. I can't lift it up. And so I'm going to flip this over here. Just give it a little press on the back, just because I like to do both sides. You don't have to, though. That's just me. And then now that I have this in place, I'm ready to kind of just line this up. And you want to make sure you line it well. Now, having the carrier makes it a little bit easier, but it's okay. Now just kind of line that here, hold that down. Then I can just start from the bottom and work my way up. So here we go. And then kind of just work your way up, making sure it's being positioned in the right place. There it is. And we want to kind of come back around. There we go. Nice and in place. And then just kind of set it there for a little bit, and I'm going to flip it over and do the back as well. Some people, Jeanette's Mellow will love this. Yeah. He'll love this. Now, there's a little piece that probably came out, but that's okay. There's a way. I'm going to show you how to fix something in just a second. So we've got that in place. Now, what's good about this is that the glitter or the HTV will actually stick to the fabric that's already bonded to the towel with the heat and bond. So it's really not going to go anywhere. So now all you got to do is take that little plastic carrier sheet off. And I'm just going to kind of do it with my fingernails here. There we go. Just kind of lift that off. And sit that back down this way. And then I like to kind of give it just one more press. And I kind of tap it down. Just make sure that it's nice and settled. And that's it. You've got yourself a really quick little gift. Now, if it shifted, and I don't really have any shifting going on, but if this had shifted a little bit where you didn't get it spot on to where you wanted to, you can kind of just grab some snips and then try to just go underneath and cut the fabric underneath here without cutting the towel, of course. And that would have gotten rid of any little pieces of fabric that you might have on the outside. But I think we did a pretty good job setting this down. And so it's got now this little fabric and then the little piece of vinyl that gives it that little bit of an accent and a little sparkle to your project. So you can totally put this on a cute little shirt, or you can do a onesie or a bib. You know, it's just so many different things that you can make with this. Now, I did it on a heart, but again, you can do all kinds of different objects and shapes, and you can do fonts and maybe just type, maybe I can put his name here on the top. That'll say Mellow on it with some fabric. I can still go ahead and do that and just kind of add on to it as I go. So this is just another quick little idea that you can create with your Scan and Cut. There's tons and tons of images that the Scan and Cut has, and there's so many things that you can do with the Scan and Cut. You just really need to play with the options. So this was one of the options that I decided to play with, is the overlay, and there's so many things that you can do with this thing. I just wanted to kind of, you know, as I continue to explore the Scan and Cut and find and play with new things, I want to go ahead and let you guys know about it. This is really a pretty cool option, and it gives you a lot of opportunities to kind of create new things. So I hope you guys really enjoyed that. Let me see, is there any questions or anything I see in the chat? Nancy's crafting CDs are already in the new craft room. Awesome. You listen to them for inspiration and you organize fabrics and other supplies. Oh, that's awesome, Donna. I know Donna is setting up a brand new craft room for her. So congrats, Donna. And I can't wait to see some more pictures. She's in our Facebook group and she's been updating us on her new craft room. So really, really excited for her. It's always amazing. I know everyone enjoys kind of having a new space and kind of making it their own. Alrighty, everyone. I think that is everything that I had to show you guys today. I hope you guys really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys have a really nice Memorial Day weekend and enjoy that time with family and friends. Thanks again for tuning in today. I really appreciate all of your support. You guys are amazing. Please go ahead and give the video a thumbs up if you like the content, and don't forget to subscribe because we are getting so close to 10,000 subscribers, and I want to do maybe a little special giveaway for that. So stay tuned. So for those of you who are tuning in the morning, I will see you bright and early on Monday morning. I will be streaming on Monday. I know it's a holiday, but we'll go ahead and do some crafting anyway, right? So thank you all for tuning in today. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye, everyone.
Nancy with GiftsHQ makes crafting videos, creating with passion and a love for what she sews. Crochet, quilting, and sewing, crafting is what she knows. Making smiles one craft at a time. your talent will grow. With every stitch and every thread she weaves her art, her hands create something special straight from the heart. And as the colors come alive, the joy spreads near and far.